I am ranked number one. One! That means I'm the best.
So let me get this straight. You feel the need to defend Tyson Fury so bad that you come up with, if Tyson Fury didn't get cut, then he would have boxed a more polished fight and looked a lot better against Otto Wallin. Okay, well, if we tied Otto Wallin's hands behind his back, then Tyson Fury could have knocked him out with a couple of punches. Why don't we do that then? Let's just, in every scenario, give Tyson Fury the advantage and incapacitate Wallin from using his weapons. Let's do that. So Otto Wallin isn't meant to try and hurt and cut his opponents. If you get a cut like Bellew Jack against Marcus Brown, it's going to impair your vision and affect your performance. Now, the Bellew Jack cut was caused by a clash, but I'm just talking about the effect it will have on your performance more than anything. A bad cut like that. You don't use that as damage control for Fury's performance. That's supposed to be credit to Otto Wallin. Wasn't no lucky punch. He landed very good left hands in the 12th and hurt Tyson Fury. Fury even acknowledged that. I mean, I would have to be in this paradigm of my boxing experience in social media for someone to say something so stupid. If Tyson Fury didn't get cut. It's supposed to be a fight, isn't it? But that tells you the expectation you had for the opponent. You didn't even think he was supposed to throw anything back and that could happen. Bob Arum is all up in the ring after. It would have been a stoppage if they had stopped it, you know. Yeah, of course it would, you old coot. The guy got punched in his eye. He's talking like these scenarios are impossible. He was bleeding. Jose Napoles didn't even keep his belt on that night against Billy Backus from head clashes. They just gave it to him by stoppage. They didn't have that go to the scorecard thing they have today. No, it just went straight to Billy Backus. Big outsider. Now, depending how you use tape on a fighter, it can be effective and sometimes can give you a false sense of security. That's my reasoning on it. But if Joey Gamache and Otto Wallin chose to, there is tape, endless tape, to study on Tyson Fury. You can't strategize for the guy. As good as he is and as overinflated the people at BT and ESPN and his fans have him up there, he's far from unbeatable. Far from it. They strategized. It's as simple as that. So as limited as Otto Wallin was, he didn't win, but he done a lot better than what a lot of people thought he could. It's the same thing when David Haye got beaten by Tony Bellew. Oh, if he didn't twist his ankle, Haye would have beat Bellew. And listen, I thought Haye was going to win. Let's not get that twisted. I'm telling you that now. I thought Haye was going to win. But here's the thing. Tony Bellew told you, nearly word for word, the state of David Haye's physical condition after the shoulder surgery, after the inactivity. And he told you that the body was going to break down. So how are you going to say it was lucky when he told you what was going to happen? When Tony Bellew was an amateur, he was telling us. Now I'm going to embellish a little. He obsessively studied David Haye and sparred him. He was a fan. And because he's roughly the same size, they fought in the same weight classes. Haye started at light heavy. Tony Bellew started at light heavy. Haye won titles at cruiser. Bellew won titles at cruiser. Bellew never fought a heavyweight though. He's probably always thought about a showdown with his rival from Britain. How that would go and how it'd do in that fight. For years. If you was to ask Bellew, I bet you was studying guys like Enzo Maccarinelli as well. In case you had to fight him, he'd say, yeah. That's his job. I always think about that Barry McGuigan comeback when he fought Jim McDonnell. Now, it's questionable if McGuigan scored a knockdown. It looked like McDonnell was a little phased by a shot. But apart from that, he just boxed circles around McGuigan and landed them slashing punches and cut his eye up and stopped him. Listen, when Jim McDonnell was a boy, you bet he studied everything about Barry McGuigan. There was one weight class apart, and he was the biggest thing in British boxing at the time. You bet he studied him. You bet by fight time he knew all his weaknesses. And McGuigan was a little slower now. This is a junior lightweight now. Bellew had it figured out. I'm not saying it couldn't go wrong and he couldn't lose. But this one he had figured out for the most part. As soon as he had to move about and exert pressure on his physical frame, his body broke up on him. When he fought the other two guys in the comeback, they didn't require him to move and exert pressure on his limbs or anything like that. So it weren't going to show up. It wasn't luck. He told you. Tony Bellew told you. And in the rematch, he knocked him out even easier without Haye twisting his ankle. Fury hasn't had 30 fights yet, I don't believe. Or maybe he has now. But he's barely had 30 fights. He's had 2 world title fights and won. Before he came back, I told everybody in videos, in a few videos, that it's unlikely he's going to recapture the speed of the Vladimir Klitschko fight or the Christian Hammer fight. It's unlikely he's going to recapture the sharpness he had when he was younger and fighting more regular. That's a different boxer to the one we have now. He was 27 when he fought Vlad. He's 31 now. 4 years for the average male civilian aging between his 20s and 30s. Unless he has a really horrible lifestyle, you're not going to see that much change, just physically looking at him. But when you're gauging things like athletic performance, 4 years is a lot of time. It's a lot of time. And 2 of them years, he was inactive. For over 2 of them years. I said he's going to have to adjust his style. The fights are going to come up when he's going to have to adjust his style. And now we saw Fury coming forward because he was safer on the front foot than the back one and getting his cut injured. I said the one style he used against Vlad is not going to work for every fight when he comes back. But the Fury fans seem to think, oh, just a great boxer from the outside and he can just outbox everybody from range. Doesn't work like that. That's not how boxing works. Ask Ali when he fought Jimmy Young and he tried to get Jimmy Young to lead. And Jimmy was like, well, why would I do that? That's not how I box my other opponents. Who are you? Nah, Jimmy Young was a very skilled boxer. But if this was the 60s, he wouldn't have a chance of getting Ali to lead. No boxer in the 60s before they pulled his license in 67 could get Ali to lead unless he wanted to. No boxer. Just too fast. Although Doug Jones done an excellent job. But Doug Jones weighed 187. He wouldn't even be a big cruiserweight today. But Ali wasn't quite the finished article then. It shows how much attention Wilder pays to strategizing. He maybe got Fury out of his defensive construct twice. Let's say the 2 knockdowns. 98% of the fight. It gets tougher and tougher and tougher now for Fury, I'm afraid. Because he got in Vladimir Klitschko's head. He didn't get in that guy's head on Saturday. And his future opponents are gathering all this information. Okay, let him act up. Let him put on wrestling masks. Let him put on Batman masks. Let him shout and scream and show his stomach. Let him do all that. Let me just not play into the madness. And remember the task at hand. The rematch with Vlad would have been harder. Vlad was prepared for the mental games this time. He got in Vlad's head last time. I knew he did. I told Mr. Bashir before the fight started. Fury is in Klitschko's head. I told him that. He got into Wilder's head. Challenged his religious and spiritual beliefs and made a big deal about it. Dared Wilder to punch him. Wilder wouldn't back down. He wanted to go mind game for mind game with Fury. Well, maybe next time he won't do that. Should they have stopped the fight is the other question. No. They shouldn't have stopped it. Tyson Fury was dabbing at the cut, but he wasn't under undue stress through the fight. Wallin didn't do much to worsen the cut after he opened it up. Obviously, he tried to put the heel of the glove into the cut. People are saying if it was the other way around, they would have stopped the fight. Of course they would have stopped the fight. This was supposed to be a showcase fight for Tyson Fury, and Wallin knew that before he went into the ring. If we went to the scorecards, unless Wallin put on a clinic out there, it was unlikely he would have got a points decision as well. We're acting like we don't know the conditions of boxing. Come on, guys, we know how it goes. The truth is, Wallin was lucky he was selected. Career highest payday. You're going to be handicapped a little. You're effectively fighting ESPN's biggest commodity. Even Terence Crawford, who technically is Fury's stablemate at Top Rank, he said if it was the other way, they would have stopped the fight. I think Crawford's a little frustrated with his situation at top rank. Fury's over there earning these big purses for fighting also rounds. Drew with Wilder, didn't win. While he's struggling to get unification fights with PBC fighters. Fury comes over there, now he's the main priority. Previously had Manny Pacquiao, who was over there, was the main priority. When's he going to be the main priority is what he's thinking. When he fought Ndongo for all 4 belts, after he pointed out how ESPN promoted the Lomachenko fight maybe a week or so before, way better than they promoted his fight, which was for Undisputed. So the frustration is spilling out. I don't know where it's going to end with Crawford and Bob, but we'll see. After Joseph Parker fought AJ, he had a lot to say about AJ's performance and also Joseph Parker's. I'm not saying Parker would beat Fury, but he's got way better footwork and stamina than Otto Wallin. Better punch variety. These will be tough fights. There's loads of fighters who can give Fury problems. Loads. Even the Fury who fought Vlad, there were still fighters out there who could give Fury problems, potentially beat him. There's no one out there in the heavyweight division who has proved to be a dominant fighter who can just take on all comers. We're way away from that right now. And I'm not saying this in hindsight. I said this before the Otto Wallin fight. I would prefer AJ to take on Tyson Fury than Andy Ruiz. I know now, which I didn't know because I never really rated Ruiz like that. But with hindsight, I know now Ruiz has a great inside game. A lot of British boxers don't have great inside games. I'm going to see what kind of fighter AJ is this time. And I'm going to see what kind of fighter Ruiz is in the rematch. It's very intriguing, extremely. Now, I believe AJ wins on points. But if he does win, it's the same for AJ. It gets tougher and tougher and tougher. Any prospective opponents are going to remember that image of AJ getting wobbled, getting put down on the floor, and stopped. A lot of opponents will have a lot of Dutch courage. Whether they'll be able to take advantage of that depends on how much AJ has learnt from that fight. I don't know when they're going to announce this Wilder-Luis Ortiz fight. We're all thinking that Wilder's going to roll him over even quicker this time, but has Ortiz studied his first fight and made the adjustments? Is he that type of heavyweight who can learn from his mistakes? Because if he is, then could be the first Cuban heavyweight champion. Could be. As old as he is, he could be. He's looked shit in all the fights he's had since Wilder, and he didn't look great in a lot of the fights he had before he fought Wilder, right? But they're not Wilder, and Wilder's not them. His focus could be way different. His career's finished if he can't win this fight. It's really finished, really. How old is the guy? The guy's 40 plus, so it's all or nothing. He has the experience. He has the technical ability. His lack of youth and athleticism hurts him a little, perhaps. But maybe the experience and technical ability could offset what he doesn't have in terms of youth and athleticism. He needs a strategy. When you're that old and you don't have certain physical athletic gifts, you need a strategy. And that's what he needs. He had a good strategy first fight. Just depends on what kind of camp he has. And what camp Wilder has and what mindset Wilder comes into the ring with. There's a whole load to play for in the heavyweight division. A whole load. Anyone walking around, oh, my guy's the best. Well, why hasn't he got all 4 belts? There's contenders coming up everywhere. Can't sleep and say, no, there's no time for sleep here. There's no time for sleep. There's the mental aspect of boxing. I'm not sure how happy that camp was. I saw Tyson Fury walk into the dressing room with his wife, and Isaac Lowe had just performed and wasn't at his best. And Ben Davidson, his body language seemed to be really downbeat. And Tyson Fury said, needless to say what's happening here. Like, he felt the energy. And if you watch the video, what Fury does, he tries to pick the energy up in the dressing room. You're a tough fighter. You're a good fight, man. You won. Still undefeated. Isaac Lowe. He was trying to bring the energy back up. Because Isaac was low as well. And Ben was mad that he didn't do certain things that he wanted him to. And Fury tried to pick the energy back up. Don't know. And Ben said he could feel that there wasn't something quite right with Fury just before they went out into the arena. Now, that could be bullshit, but I'm not going to take it that as an excuse. This happens in sports or anything. Last minute, all of a sudden, you feel flat and you got to go out there. That does happen. Maybe even AJ has been on his mind recently. He didn't want to go out like AJ. That's been a trending topic, and I'm sure a lot of world-class boxers who may be taking on opponents down the pecking order are thinking, boy, I don't want to end up like that. Pressure creeps up. But let's not forget, he did win. Let's make no mistake. The camp is a little shook right now. There's no doubt about that. The camp is going to be a little shook. Not as confident as it's been, at least appearing to be. It's going to be a little shook. Not destroyed, not irreparable damage or anything like that. But, yeah. Ben Davidson, he's definitely under a little pressure right now. See his dad come out. I'm wondering if Fury is not happy with this ESPN deal that he doesn't have to deal with his dad in the UK when he's fighting in America. His dad can't travel. But here's the thing. We've got to wait for Fury's cut to heal. That's not going to be ready for February. Wilder's not going to be fighting in February anyway, by the time the Ortiz fight is announced. And they may... I don't know what's going on with that fight. That hasn't been announced yet. Are they going to wait until the Ruiz-Joshua fight is determined? I don't know. Because depending who wins, that could have a lot to do with Wilder's decision-making. I don't know. But back to Ben Davidson. Whenever that Wilder fight takes place with Fury, that they're contracted to take, after this performance with Otto Wallin, it could be about another 6 or 7 months before Fury's back in the ring, and he's going to go straight in with Wilder unless they're going to plan another warm-up, which is going to take at least another year before the rematch happens now. If he goes straight back in after that shaky performance against Wallin, are they just going to allow him to man the corner, or are they going to bring someone else in? Because obviously they didn't have 100% trust that he could handle that corner for a fight with Wilder against the Albanian cruiserweight and Pianetta. No problem. But they didn't have 100% trust that he could handle the Wilder fight. What about now? What's changed? Are they going to have faith that he can do it now? Because we would like to say it's all about what Fury and Ben Davidson want to do, but it's not. Because ESPN are pumping money to you. So if people from ESPN or Top Rank voice their concerns to Fury and Ben Davidson about the camp, they'll have to take it into consideration. Are they going to draft Freddie Roach in again? Or another more experienced guy? Or are they going to let Davidson handle it all by himself? Is Davidson ready for such a step up? These are all important questions. Is Tyson's cut going to heal so he can just focus on boxing? Because listen, if it splits open and he gets knocked out, no one's going to be listening to the Tyson apologists saying, oh, well, if he didn't get cut, he wouldn't have got knocked out. No. We're just going to put that KO in our highlight reel videos. That's what we're going to do. And talk about how he got flatlined. So he has to be ready. But the camp is a little shaky. We'll see how the camp comes back in Fury. We'll see. It was strange. He didn't, even before the cut, he wasn't showboating, was he? Didn't showboat much. If at all. He normally doesn't wait around. I don't think he's washed up. I don't think he is. But we always see what type of fighter you are when you got to respond to a little adversity, you know? And like I said, he didn't lose, did he? He did win, so...